Hey man, guess what? I got the job! No way, dude! You were meant for that role! Yes, bring it in! Oh, you're right, mate. I got that job, by the way.
Oh, didn't they realise you're a massive perv?
Your mum doesn't seem to mind.
So why do British people love putting each other down? See, Britain has a long history of crude insults. The father of English literature, Chaucer, loved a cock joke, even in the 1300s, and Scottish poets took part in verbal abuse competitions in the 1400s. But our humour took on its peculiarly bitter tone with the Reformation in the 1500s, when England turned Protestant and adopted the strong Protestant dislike of show and self-promotion, which meant your peers were ready to cut you down if they even detected a whiff of boasting. But there's always one schlad who takes it too far, and in the 1600s that was Oliver Cromwell, whose Puritan regime banned pretty much everything fun, and banter was nearly snuffed out before it got going. However, it came roaring back with the restoration of the monarchy, when Charles II reopened the theatres, taverns and coffee houses, liberating English humour. And thankfully, the most boring Puritans had already left to set up a banter-free society across the Atlantic. With them gone, the stage was set, and in the 1670s we have the first recorded use of the word banter, in a play by Thomas Durfee, who was also renowned for a hit single called The Fart. 2 decades later, in the 1690s, laws restricting the press were lifted, giving England one of the freest media landscapes in the world, unleashing a tidal wave of vicious humour. Soon, posh snowflakes like Jonathan Swift were horrified by the rise of banter, first among London's working classes, and then, heaven forbid, among journalists and writers. But British elites still weren't on board. Many of them admired the cult of sensibility, which prized empathy and compassion. But that changed dramatically from the 1790s with the French Revolution. That outburst of emotional violence terrified Britain's elite, causing them to regard emotion as dangerous, leading to the famous British stiff upper lip. Now, with public displays of emotion deeply unfashionable, even elites turned to ribbing each other as their only method of showing affection. In contrast, our American and European friends were busy establishing their modern nations, filled with the earnest and often hysterical idealism that requires. Not a recipe for banter. By this time, England was the most industrialised nation on earth, and that ritual of large groups of men working long, monotonous hours in close proximity for meagre wages, which they then spent at pubs or music halls or the football, was the perfect breeding ground for gallows humour. This was then immortalised as a national virtue by the 2 world wars through stories of soldiers joking before going over the trenches, and those back home ribbing each other as they emerged from bombed out homes. The US, by contrast, emerged from the wars as top nation. They had the ideal of the American dream, where optimism was celebrated, whereas for us, it was cringe. Friendly mockery and crude jokes were then a staple of British TV and radio through the 20th century. Then finally, we see the emergence of the modern lad in the 90s and 2000s, fueled by lads mags, cheap booze, the resurgence of English football, and of course, the lifeblood that connects it all, banter.